lava band. All the Mars and cars now, whichever get up. Light up my scars with a sweet one bliss. Someone flicks me a bag it up. So, it's another one. It's another one, yeah. It's a full strand, yeah. Oh, it's another one. It's another one, yeah.
What's good, people? Welcome back into the STAYWEIGHEDIN show presented to you by iBoxingHub. I'm joined by my man Ray. Ray, how are we feeling today?
I'm absolutely fighting the flu. Not losing, but putting up a good battle. But man, this is hard. So apologies in advance for the nasally tones, but I'm still gonna, I've got that dog in me, so I'm still gonna battle it out, man. How about yourself? How you keeping?
We're good. Close away from flying out. So when this actually funny enough goes there, if everything goes to plan, I'm in Las Vegas, ready for WrestleMania week. So I can't complain. But another man that can't complain is your boy, Jaron Boots Ennis. We talked about him before, and it was one of the things where we needed his showcase performance, and he was fighting for the Unified Championship, and he definitely delivered that. I think people like myself were a bit like, okay, because you've got the machine of Matchroom behind you, that there's only so much Matchroom can do before you got to deliver your performances. And in this one, gets the finish on the stool after the 6th round. And for me, it was what we needed for people to care about the guy, if that makes sense. But just give me your overall take on Boots, and did he deliver for you what you expected?
Last week I said this is going to be make or break for Boots, and I guess he understood the urgency and he delivered the breakout performance, which just let people know I'm him. It's not to say I'm not going to throw on some hyperbole and act like it was the best thing ever since sliced bread. I'm not going to act like it was the best performance this year of a boxer, but it was just more a statement piece, just to be like, I am that good and I do have the capabilities that, and the promise that, he showed before. This is just a glimpse of what you can get. And I think that's what was intriguing about this showing, is that it was just a glimpse into what he can do. And yeah, it took some risk. And I think this also goes into what he's been saying before. You just need a live opponent that's actually coming to fight, and not, someone else that also wants to fight to win and not fight not to lose. So I'm happy for Boots, onwards and upwards. And yeah, he just put on the performance that he needed to.
Do you know what? And let me land on this a little bit. Do you know what this felt like? A really good bowl of Rice Krispies. And let me see if I can land on this. So, when you put a bowl of Rice Krispies in, you put the milk in, you can hear it snap, crackle, and pop, and you're like, that's the one. I know what it is.
I like that.
You put that little sugar on as well. That's what that was with Boots. There was a bit of snap, there was a crackle, there was a bit of pop, there was a bit of everything to make you tune in and be like, okay, that's a guy that we can get interested in. Like, there's a bit of showmanship about it. He was able to work the body where he needed to. He saw the shortcomings of his opponent, and he was able to get the job done in the first half of the fight. And it didn't need to be a knockout or anything like that, but it was enough that it was, okay, there's somewhere there, there's something there. And to be fair, what you said about a live opponent, he said the same in an interview post-fight. He goes, you see what I can be when there's an opponent there that wants to fight. When you look at Eddie, for example, obviously we've talked about how not necessarily he's fully drifting away from the UK market, but he understands other international markets. How important was this performance for him?
This was very important because I think, especially this week, a lot of people have been speaking about how MVPS, taken a lot of his prominent women boxers. So right now, it's almost like Eddie is reorganizing, his team in going forward in just the boxing landscape. I had a, conversation in another group, shout out my boy Ozzy, regarding how boxing doesn't have too many stars, the ones that's not of yesteryear, on the come up, and how this plays into what Turkey's looking to do with Dana and TKO Group. and the boxing league and providing more structure in terms of pay. And I think this all leads into it is because there's a lack of people that captures the crowd. And I feel like with Eddie, he sees Boots as one of the last few that can be like, this guy can capture a crowd and, you know, getting behind it, whether it's at 147, whether it's at 154. This is the, you know, the last of a few before. I don't know if I want to say boxing goes into a dark age, but it's not looking good, bruv. It's not looking good.
This is the thing. I think I'm not going to say Eddie would have given up on Boots because he doesn't necessarily give up, but I think it would have been that thing where he sits back and realizes, was this investment worth it? But I can't leave that investment because of when he signed. I remember when it happened, and it was like, we can't believe you signed Boots. We can't believe you've done this. And that was all he was flooded with. I think it was even on one of his UK fight nights, and more of the questions that were given to him were about Boots. So for him, there is a sense of relief that, okay, there is them performances that we expect to sign up for. But my next thing to you is, do you now stay at 147 to become undisputed? Or do you go up to 154 where arguably there's more money there to be able to make? Because I always say undisputed as a title is the best you can have in boxing. The only problem with that is undisputed works when people are more interested in undisputed. The same way we were at heavyweight, welterweight with Crawford and Spence, Bivol Beterbiev and stuff of that nature. When I don't think people have that interest in you, you can then look to expand the avenues and go to 154. For me personally, I would look at 154. I don't think people are overly interested in you becoming undisputed at 147 right now.
I think right now it's all depending on who's going to play ball. So I think WBC champion is Barrios, if I'm not mistaken, who's with MVP. He was previously with PBC, but he's with MVP now, isn't he? Or is he just like one of those free agents that just gets
I'm not sure who he's with though, but yeah, Barrios is one.
Hopefully he's a free agent that just gets to work with whoever. And there's another caveat to that. To people waiting on the wing that's probably hoping that Boots moves up. But you've got Barrios who's got a WBC, and then you've got the real duck sauce in the Normans. Norman Jr. and Norman Sr., you know, they turned down upwards, reportedly, let me say reportedly, of 1.5 mil, to which they did come on and say similarly, yeah, that was a ball figure of what they rejected and they wanted more. To which was funny because there was like, oh, by the time taxes and everything gets paid off, Norman won't make $1 million.
When do taxes? But let's be. When do we ever care about taxes?
Let me land.
Okay.
Which is fair, because yeah, people don't understand when it comes to boxing. There's a lot of deductions, etc., that comes with it. However, his normal fight purse is reportedly 200K, which then gets stripped down and everything. The same stripped down and taxes that he was talking about with a 1 whatever million, he's also getting stripped down on the 200 and something K. You are going to potentially make, not potentially, you was proposed to make more than 5 times of what you're already on. What do you mean it's a low ball? I don't understand how that's a low ball. And given the fact that, let's be honest, the money that people go on that is in boxing is not there. We know it's not there. The reason why these fights didn't happen all these years without Turkey is because everyone is doing tug of war of, yo, I want to make sure I can make some money out of this. And that's the reason why no fights were made, because networks were just like, well, we need to get paid. So this entity needs to get paid, blah, blah, blah. And everyone's pulling at without Turkey, there's not too much, money in boxing, especially this ain't a pay-per-view fight. So the fact that he's even getting so much money, I'm not trying to be funny, unless he can show me, a the balance book of Matchroom to show that they've got so much surplus money. I don't getting paid over $1 million in boxing right now for people that aren't pay-per-view stars is honestly a blessing. If you want the promotion to still be able to have operating costs, operating money, shall I say. So, and apparently Norman's already, it's not even been 12 hours. The blood's still not wet on the mats. I mean, the blood's still not dry on the mats from the fight yesterday. And Norman Senior's apparently already going at it, talking about, to go to do Undisputed, you have to go through us. And I can tell he's going to play hardball. And to like what you said, we're not dying to see it. It would be a nice feat for Boots, but he's got options at 154. And my thing is, Norman's going to play hardball. If Barrios doesn't play hardball and you become unified with 3 belts, yeah, I just say leave the Normans and be like, all right, cool. Take your belts. I'm going 154 because I don't need this right now. You need me more than I need you, and you lot are, pushing your luck. So that's how I see that.
For me, I look at it like, so this is what I will say. If you stay at 147 and you fight Barrios and you win, then as much as the Normans will play hardball, it's worthwhile staying depending on how much it kills your body. Then because you're 1 title away, right now you're technically 2 titles away, so it may take a bit of work. But at this moment, obviously, off the fight, he's not going to make a decision. But if your next decision is, right, I'd rather move up, then disregard everything they turn around and say to you. Because it's like, yeah, I've made my decision. I have 2 titles. I've got the ring title as well, so I'm good. I've done what I needed to do. And then you have that fight that will most likely appear on a Saudi card, in my opinion, which is against Virgil Ortiz. And then you're setting yourself up for a bit of money. You're also probably not hurting yourself on weight cuts as much as well. So my look at it for him is 154 just seems more luxury and more eyeballs on you as well. So I would probably take the 154 route and then see how that plans out for you. Because again, this talk about Terence Crawford, personally, I don't see that ever happening. But the Virgil Ortiz fight is there for you to be able to make, and for people to see that. The only thing I'm seeing is that's not a headline fight in America and most likely being on a Saudi card.
I think that can be. Here's the thing with Virgil Ortiz. All this Virgil Ortiz talk is funny because I'm like, he hasn't got a belt. In order for that to be a big fight in America, Virgil Ortiz needs to get a belt. That's what needs to happen. So obviously you got the guy on the PBC side who everyone's basically scared of, who beat Tim Tszyu. I've forgotten the fighter's name. Forgive me, but
Fundora.
No, not Fundora. Oh. The guy that beat Tim Tszyu.
Oh, okay, here.
Yeah,
the most recent one, yeah.
I believe I know it's Eastern Bloc, but I've forgotten what specific country, and I don't want to get that wrong. So obviously you got him. Then you got Fundora, who wasted time thinking he was going to get the Errol Spence fight or the Bud fight, and then now he's in a tricky position. Who's the other 154 champions?
Bud got belt.
He's going to vacate that belt in a bit.
Yeah, I think that's it. Bud and Bakram, I think it is. That's his name? That's the
one who beat Tim Tszyu, yeah. And then what is it? Is it Fundora's got 2 belts?
Yeah, and then Thingy's got 1.
Okay. I think 154. Well, do you know what? 154 is not too much better than it for him. However, what I will say is it's potentially more better for him, only because, like you said, Virgil's there, Virgil can get a belt. And then secondly, you're not cutting so much weight because, there was images coming out during the week of how he looked going for that 147 weight cut. It was just like, that does not look healthy. So I think 154 would be a good look. Fundora seems like he's down to play ball, especially after missing out on the paydays with Spence and Bud, so you might as well. Side note, Spence, call it a career, man. We love you. You put on great shows. If you ain't going to fight no time soon, call it a day. But Yeah, as for Boots, I say 154. If Virgil Ortiz can get a belt, that's the fight to make. But all this Virgil Ortiz talk and ducking Virgil, I'm just like, the guy hasn't got a belt and his name's not that big for people to be putting duck sauce on it like that. Like, I don't know if the fight is as lucrative for people as making it out to be right now.
I think it's because obviously he's come off fighting Madrimov, he's in Saudi, so people are seeing it. And also at the same time, his promoter does a decent enough job to get his name out. So it's just that crossover that allows it. But yeah, I'm a fan of that fight probably more than I'm a fan of anything at 147 right now, personally. What about you? Yeah, I was just saying, for me, I'm just more of a fan of that specific fight.
I know, I get it. I'm just, that could be a big fight in America, but they just need to let it cook. So everything just depends. I know Boots was saying in the ring how he needs to speak with his team. I think if he can get another unification fight straight after this, do that. If people are gonna start ducking and everything, go to 154. But obviously, just make sure wherever you go to 154 is a guaranteed route to the belts, because I still feel like he needs to be built up in a way, and he needs the belts right now. I don't think name alone, not like Tank is the anomaly where it's just like his name alone was fine and he didn't really need a belt. The majority of the field still needs a belt, and I feel like Boots, if he does go up, Virgil Ortiz ain't the fight to make right now. It is for the future. Both can get a belt, but not right now.
One fight that's coming up this weekend, it's Ben Whittaker. It's Liam Cameron. I had to think for a second. I had to pause for a second, I think. It's the rematch where everyone remembers the infamous tumble. I just want to take you back just a little bit about that tumble. So I'm going to preference this. I believe when he fell, he was hurt, but not enough to actually stop on the fight. I do also believe, because if you remember, his corner just all comes to him. They just turn around and say, "This is our avenue out of this fight. If you're not feeling it, this is the avenue out of this particular fight." And I think Ben took that little avenue and said, "I can leave this fight." How do you think this one plays out? Because I think some people are like, Ben's gonna learn from it and stuff like that. But I'm. It's not that I'm against Ben Whittaker. I do believe at the same time, look, if you know that this person can fight you, this person can hurt you, I don't think it's as straightforward as Ben Whittaker can just tune up the way Chris Eubank did against Liam Smith. The way he was able to switch up and be like, okay, I may have lost that first fight, but I know I'm not gonna. I don't know if Ben Whittaker can directly do that same translation.
Who is he with at the moment? Because I know he switched up his camp.
I'm not sure. I couldn't tell you.
I think that was the big thing, is that obviously initially he was training with Kronk. What is his name? It escapes my mind, but Fury's trainer. Then he went back to like training with his hometown guy. Here's the thing with Ben Whittaker. Brilliant talent. However, his style that he was employing only works up until a certain level. Then he needs to evolve how he's fighting. I think he's got all the potential in the world, and a few things needed to be changed. So, for example, who he was fighting with, I still think it's good for him to train with them off camp, but during camp, I feel like he needs to join a more serious camp to have a more variety of people to train with, because I know he's in Wolverhampton. It's not like the biggest boxing town. I don't know if he's got like the best of talent helping him prepare for all these big fights. So it's almost like you've hit the ceiling with that team. And like I said, I'm not a fan of just leaving people that got you to the dance, but more adding to that. And obviously he did initially with what is Tyson Fury's trainer called again? Why is that name escaping me?
Are you not Ben?
Black guy, Kronk guy. Sugar Hill.
Sugar Hill, I was going to say.
Sugar Hill. Because obviously he left Sugar Hill. I'm presuming obviously he's in Florida, and it's probably just like the logistics of that gets long, and it probably logistically and financially just a bit of a burden to keep on doing that, especially at that stage of his career. So hopefully, if he's joined another team to help add on to what he's already doing, it could be a big show. He's got a lot to prove, and there's one thing the British public don't like is a flashy guy who's cocky. The one thing they really like is a flashy guy who's cocky that gets stopped. If there's something that they really like, is a guy like Leon Cameron who's got the comeback story of coming back from addiction. You know, it's documented about his weight loss and getting to this point. And this nation absolutely loves underdog story. I dare Ben Whitaker to slip up, because if Leon Cameron capitalizes on this moment, wow.
Question for you then. So, when we look at Ben, he's that star, or not star, let's say, but that
On the
person
rise, on the rise. He's a prospect.
The one that Boxer have basically gave him glamorous entrances from fight number 3, which is fine, because
it was understandable.
Because we said that, look, if you're gonna make him in star, make him someone that we care about, give him the flash.
Yes.
But if you fall short here, where does it go? I'm not saying your career ends or anything like that, but then do you have to strip back certain elements of Ben Whitaker? Because it's hard to do it.
Of course they would have to, because at the end of the day, they've invested a lot into him. They've invested a lot into him. He came across like a star boy before he was a star boy. And then he just came across a guy in his career that's like, you need those rugged tests where it's just like, yeah, you're not always going to get the flashy. To be fair, I think, is it a fight or two before this, you had a guy that was a late replacement.
And
what is his... All these names are escaping me. You had a guy that was a late replacement. I remember, athletic-wise, he matched up well to Ben, and all the flashy stuff that Ben usually does, he couldn't get away with it with this guy. And ironically, I think that guy ended up, joining in camp, because I think Ben Whitaker realized, game recognizes game, and I think Ben Whitaker realized, all right, do you know what? This is actually a solid guy. But then it's also that thing of, yeah, you get to that point of your career where you realize you cannot keep on. I want him to have the flashy style that he's got, but you have to evolve it. Leon Willings, that's the one. Leon Willings. You need to evolve.
Why does that name ring a bell? But more for the misfit scene.
He joined, maybe, but he joined Whitaker in his camp after, because I think Whitaker went into that fight, like I said, a late replacement, and then I think he just thought that he was going to go in there and embarrass him like he has the other people. And it's just like, no, like the guy was up for it. He gave it his own. And then with Whitaker, it was almost like the antics that we liked in the first 7 fights coming up to that were nice, was good.
But we could see it slowly where it was like, okay,
your
pillar hands are being shown.
And it's like, I think there's a way to, and obviously it also showed a power issue as well, where it was a case of, when people have better chins coming up, so you can't keep on doing the whole. It's one thing if you want to employ those things just to like box, but when it's like he was doing it to knock someone out, they weren't knocking people out, so it was kind of just like, that can't be your finishing move no more. And I feel like he just needs to make changes, and especially the optics looks like you quit. The optics looks like
Liam Cameron.
He made it rough, and you quit. Now is more of, there's going to be the judgment in your character. Did you break, or did you break and want to find a way out, or was it just a case of it wasn't your day and you was just like, F it, man, I'm going to take this out because just ain't it for me, which is a rarity in boxing, in terms of you don't always get such a graceful way to bow out. Most of the time, the way that you go out is literally someone beats you up, and then you might take a knee when you can take more punishment, but you choose not to. Whereas this was the perfect opportunity, and obviously he milked the injury. It is what it is. If you in the words of Slim Charles, if you're gonna lie, you have to stand on that lie, and that's
in
what
this
they
case.
done.
You had to sit. In this case, you had to sit on the
lie. In this case, you have to sit on that lie. So if you're gonna lie, you're gonna have to sit on that lie, and then now it's like you have to come back with vengeance. And What I would like is if Ben Waker puts in a good performance, showing people, yo, I'm back and I'm better. But Liam Cameron can also put in a spirited performance to show people, yo, I've come this far and I'm still here. And I would love for Liam Cameron to at least get British title. That's what I would like.
This is what I'm gonna say. What I think is with Ben in this fight. Again, I can't even remember if it's 10 or 12. I don't know what's happened. That was just a farce. I'm not even going to address it because I stopped paying attention to that, if you want me to be honest. But I don't think he needs to get the finish. I don't think he will get the finish. I think, if anything, for the first time, I want to see him box the rounds all the way through and just be like, look, I can fight this guy properly. Like, it wasn't a case of I was getting tired and stuff like that. I made my adjustments and I can take this man the distance personally. It's the first time I've ever said that for a guy only 10, 11 fights in, if I'm not wrong. That I don't need you to get a finish. I need you to basically box the way you've been. If you get a stoppage through the referee themselves saying, okay, this guy's taking too much, fine, but you don't need to knock him out. And personally, I don't think he has the hands for the higher competition or even the Liam Cameron level of competition where you can get a genuine knockout. I think it's more
I don't.
the
I
ref
get
will
what you
stop
mean
it.
about the decision. It's less about the decision, more about you want to see dominance.
Yes.
That's what we want to see. We want to see dominance. And when we say dominance, we don't mean the foolish antics and but that's what he was doing before with the last two opponents, where it's like he was doing the foolish antics. Like, you won, but it wasn't dominant. It was just like that person wasn't good enough. It wasn't that he was that much better than them. So this time it's like, no, show you are better. If you are better, show that you are better. Like, put a beating on them. You know, like the same way as much as he gets criticized. But what I liked about his last outing, like Shakur Stevenson, not a knockout guy, but the dominance he showed in that fight was just like, listen, even if I'm not a knockout guy, I'm letting people know from this display I'm levels above you. It don't matter if I don't get a knockout. This arm about to display is going to be magical. And that's what he needs to go in there to do, to just be like, I'm going to be dominant, show my skills in a tasteful way. I still want him to be flashy. I still want him to, everything that he has, I just want him to refine it. So I don't want him to get rid of the flashy style that he has. No, I still need to be polarizing, but you need to be more definitive with it. You can't go in there doing the cocky stuff and it looks wrong if it's like you're doing the awkward punches and it's not knocking a man down, because there's a difference with that. When Eubank was doing certain things, Senior, I'm talking about, when Senior was doing certain things, Senior was finishing guys. And then he'll do obviously the whole posturing whilst everyone's just scrambling behind him. But it's like, no, he finished him first and then the personality coming through. And I feel with Whittaker, that's what you need to get the right balance of. We want you to be entertaining, but yo, finish the food first before you start celebrating.
The one thing I'm going to say about Liam Cameron just quickly is I don't know if I'm in the boat of he has pressure or he doesn't. Obviously, he doesn't have the same as Ben, but there kind of is a bit of pressure to be like, are you a flash in the pan in terms of this underdog story? Or are you a genuine guy that you didn't just catch Ben on a bad day and there's something more about you? And I think for Liam as well, Liam will know that. And I hope he doesn't go into the mentality of going into the fact that, okay, I'm just cashing in and I'm happy with whatever the result. I don't think he will personally, but he's not also, I guess you could say, not having any pressure alongside him. Yeah, Ben from the optics from the outside, the star name, whatever, will have all that pressure. But for me, I'm watching, I'm also like, Liam, don't make yourself look like a one-hit wonder type of guy. You need to now also show that you can't just be a dance partner, but be in the ring.
The only time that could happen is if after, because at the end of the day, he's in that, it's like he's in that Cambosa stage where it's just like, you've had your moment. He hasn't maximized the moment as much as Cambosa did, but it's like, you've had your moment. So after that moment, it's like the same way Cambosa lost to Haney twice. So it's like, all right, cool, the moment's done. You actually need a win now. That's what's going to happen with Liam Cameron, where, let's say if he loses against Whittaker, fair enough. But what do you do after the moment's done? are you still gonna have that same hunger to still do something? And that's when it will be like, okay, you're not just some flash in the pan opponent. They want to see someone actually, put effort in. And I think he has got it in him. The way that he's like spoke about turning his life around and signing his first promoter contract, and he's turned his life around. I think this can be the vehicle for something big, but you still need to put in the work, and let's hope he does that.
One final thing before we wrap up. In terms of this fight, the prediction side of things, where does it go? Because I've been toying with it, because obviously at the end of the day, Ben is the most skilled fighter, and stuff like that. But skill gets you so far, because we've seen them guys that just want it more, and they can just put themselves on another person, and it can be your kryptonite. Like for example, I just remember David Haye fought Tony Bellew first time round. It was like, oh, Tony Bellew won. David Haye was the big favorite. The second time, again, David Haye went in as the favorite in that fight in terms of the betting side, by the way. Tony Bellew just was like, no, I'm just not going to let you. I'm not going to let people think that was a lucky win. And he beat him again, beat him badly. Yeah. There's obviously countless more examples of that. This one, where does it go for you, and who wins?
Whittaker should win.
I'm not asking who should win. I'm asking who do you think will win?
And that's what I'm saying. He should win. Whittaker should. I can't see Whittaker. Basically, it's Whittaker's fight to lose. Depending on what Whittaker turns up, depending if he's, switched on, depending if he switched up his camp, depending how serious he wants to take his career, depending on, can you put your ego aside and lock in and say, do you know what? You lot think this way about me. I'm going to go out there and show you why I'm good. It's a mentality thing we want to see from Ben. And I'm not talking from the side of the haters, because haters are going to hate. There's going to be dickheads that just don't like him because, God forbid, someone's confident in themselves. However, you being confident in yourself, that puts a target on your back. So go out there and show them why you deserve to have a target on your back. Because I also believe if Whittaker loses, you are going to see the nastiest turn on him, the biggest 180. And I'm talking promoters are going to turn on him. Fans are going to turn on him. People that's, he's got a lot of fans from, around the world because of some of his highlights. And then they're going to look at him and be like, like Adrian Broner territory, like we just always look back and like, what could have been with Adrian Broner, man? He gave us some good moments, but then you shrug your shoulders and you get on with your day. You don't want to be that guy. So it's up to Ben Whittaker.
Hey, listen, I'll be honest with you.
What's that Michael Irvin meme when he goes, what are you going to do about it? Don't let him go into your house and do it. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm not scared. I'm not scared. I'm just scared.
And he is going into his house. Literally, this is in Birmingham, if I'm not wrong. So, yeah.
This is literally that. This is literally. We've come away from Riyadh season. It was maybe a bit too early for you to do Riyadh season. You're back home. You're meant to be the next UK star. Go out there and seize the moment, especially at a time where the UK is lacking stars right now. You need to go out there and let them know that you're the guy, because, boy, it is looking rough. And all eyes are going to be on you because people are going to be wanting Liam Cameron to win to complete this comeback story.
No, I hear it. I'm going to be honest with you. Everything says to me Ben Whittaker should still win. Everything says to me. But I'm going with Liam Cameron. I just think I'll be honest, full disclosure, I was one of them guys. I remember we must have talked about Ben Whittaker and his marketing, and Boxer have nailed it with him. And then I slowly fell out of love with Ben Whittaker. And I don't think anything's got me where I'm like, I might be a hater, I don't know. But nothing's ever got to me where I'm just like, I care about Ben Whittaker's style. It's kind of not in the same boat. But when you tune in for Floyd, you got to a point where you wanted to see him lose. Kind of with Ben, for me, I'll be honest, I just kind of don't care right now. And I just look at his hands. I'm like, you kind of got pillow hands. Your same showboating skill set was working at the start. Now I don't care about it. What else can you do to switch up to where you can have your fun, but also have that traditional aspect where, okay, you are doing something to these guys, and I don't know if he's got it, and that's fine if he doesn't have it. Yeah, he can grow into it.
No,
But
he needs it now. This
but
is
he will. I think he will lose to Liam Cameron. I think Liam Cameron just has more about him in the sense of that dog in you.
listen. If Liam Cameron wins this, mark my words, Boxer, I'm gonna drop him out. I don't know how he rebuilds from this if Liam Cameron wins. There's gonna be a big ceiling, and it's different because you got the likes of Johnny Nelson, who had gone through embarrassing losses by his own accord when he was on the come up, and he spoke about how Ingle helped reshape him mentally. But the difference is Johnny Nelson also didn't garner so much attention when he was going through his formative stages.
Can I say something? Do you know?
Yeah.
I know, and it's not me being biased, but do you know what it shows to me? This is a somewhat of the greatness of Amir Khan, because when you made that Sky box office debut and lost to Prescott, I think it was about 15 fights into his career. About 3 or 4 fights later, I believe he beats Kotelnik for a world title. And it just shows that he had some kind of bounce back ability, that we're here sitting looking at Ben and saying, if you lose to Liam Cameron, you're right back down at the pecking order type of thing.
The difference is, though, Khan let us know from early he's got that dog in him. And the issue was when he lost to Prescott, it's almost like we had a glaring into his weakness, which is you've almost got too much dog in you. Like, you're too eager for your own good. It's a good attribute, but it's an endearing attribute that he has that we like, because it's just like, at that stage of his career, win, lose or draw, that guy is, he's coming to win. Whereas Whittaker is different because you've gone and showboated, and at a time when you needed to show grit, you've shown all the glamour, and at a time you need to show grit, you didn't show it. Admittedly, was it dirty from Liam Cameron that they went over the ropes? Absolutely, but he's doing what he's supposed to do, because guess what? I'm not the flashy technician, so I got to go in there and make it a dirty fight. The difference is when Khan lost to Prescott, there was going to be naysayers. Haters, there's always going to be haters, but the difference is Khan showed he had that dog, and he went straight back to the drawing board. I can't remember if he got a new trainer straight after that and was basically like, yo, I'm going to keep on switching up my trainer until I get this right. Like, we need to refine my style. And so then that's why with Khan, the nation got back behind him again, because you could see straight away, oh no, he's taking it serious. And I remember he came back right away, put a dogged performance. And then when he beat Maidana, he stepped into a firefight with Maidana, and we was watching that on the edge of our seats just thinking, please do not engage. We know you want to, but just don't. And do you get what I'm saying? But that excitement that you've got in you, that's what Khan, he got emotions out of people. Whereas Whittaker is polarizing, but even the people that were supporting him started to be like, oh, what are you doing? And I think that's the big difference. Khan had support because we can see that he was taking it serious, whereas Whittaker is just like, don't let your ego get in the way. And if you do let your ego get in the way, even the people that support you won't want to support you. So then that's what's going to be the important thing is, I don't want you to be too humbled, because I still need that flash and that attitude that you have. But turn it down just a notch so that you get out of your own way. And that's the most important thing.
No, I hear it. Guys, listen, we're going to wrap up this week's episode. If you enjoy the content, you know the vibes. Like, share, subscribe. We should be back next week to recap everything, pending my flights and schedule and stuff. But if not, there is a big one that is also very close to happening with Chris Eubank Jr., Conor Benn, and I know we're going to have a special guest definitely ready for that as well. But yeah, until next time, guys, peace.
It's another band. All the Muslim cars now, with your bag it up. Light up my scars with a sweet one bliss. Someone flicks me a bag it up. Say, oh, it's another one. It's another one, yeah. It's a full strand, yeah. Oh, it's another one.